Hi everyone. So to go along with the mini course that I did on reclaiming your energy, and the mini course is creatively named Reclaim Your Energy, I am also going to do a series of videos on energizing behaviors. And what I refer to as an energizing behavior is just a practice you can incorporate into your life. To give yourself more energy, to sort of recenter and refocus, and to give you that boost you need to keep going and keep working toward your goals, even when something might be derailing you, or you feel like you had a bad day, or you're just feeling exhausted. These things will help you reset and to continue on the path that you have set out for yourself, to hopefully achieve your goal. So today, and again, I'm looking at my notes as always, the energizing practice we're going to talk about is related to having a morning routine, which I've got some more videos on. I believe everybody needs a morning routine, because just a brief background on, just, like, I don't want you to think I'm just like telling you crap just because it's a personal preference, but, actually, there have been studies, there are people who attest to this, accomplished entrepreneurs, business owners, executives, you name it, who attest to the effectiveness of having a morning routine. And in fact, like, some of the major entrepreneurial magazines have even done stories on famous business people and their tips to success, and morning routine is always, always, always on that list. And in fact, I think there have been articles that are solely dedicated to the morning routine. I'm not going to talk about a full-on morning routine in this video. I'm just going to talk about one aspect that I think is very helpful, even if you aren't at the point of having your own full morning routine. If you don't have it fully designed yet, this is something you can just start doing when you wake up tomorrow. So this little aspect of the morning routine, this energizing behavior, energizing practice, we're going to talk about today, is setting aside 15 to 30 minutes of your time in the morning just to remind yourself of your personal, professional, and spiritual objectives. Now, the people I coach and work with in real life, and virtual life is real life. They exist. They just don't exist in New York City. You know what I mean? But the people I work with who are my clients, one thing I always have them do if they need the productivity training and coaching, even if they need, I can't talk. If they need productivity coaching or even the time management coaching, I have them name an objective, at least one objective, usually like an overarching life objective. But from there, we can even break it down further and have financial objectives. We can have spiritual objectives. We can have social objectives. We can have career objectives. And you should have all those things. But so that's what you're going to think about in the morning when you wake up. After you wake up, like, it doesn't have to, actually, let me say this. Please don't do it while you're still lying in bed, because you will just go back to sleep. That is no good. You need to do this after you've gotten up, maybe like walk around, take a shower, do some exercise, maybe eat. You don't have to do it before food necessarily, but definitely do it before you check your email. Do it before you get on social media. Definitely do it before you leave the house, go to work. And I say even do it before you interact with any other human being, whether it's your spouse, your roommate, your dog, your kids. Like, wake up early enough so you can do these things and go to your, like, a private space, whether it's in your room or in the bathroom or whatever, the living room if everyone's asleep. Just sit there and have these 15 to 30 uninterrupted minutes. And what you're going to be thinking about during these minutes are, as I just said, your spiritual objectives, your financial objectives, because chances are you're going to work in a couple hours, an hour, however long, and your personal objectives. So, that's what you want for yourself, the type of person you want to be, the type of family you want to have if you want to have a family, like have kids, get married, whatever. The type of hobbies you want to be involved in, the type of if you want to be a person who's very social and dedicated to charitable causes, or if you want to have just a very interesting social life with different friend groups, if you want to be part of like a group of entrepreneurs, like the type of person you want to be, think about the full 360. And if you haven't already, write those things down. Now, they can change over time, but it's important to write down what you want. And this all falls under the category of taking those 15 to 30 minutes to think about what you really want in life. And the reason you're thinking about what you want is because you're about to expose yourself to other people, to the world, to annoyances, to obligations, to like a whole list of things that are outside of you. And you need to be grounded in who you are and grounded within yourself. And these things will help you feel that way and to be that way and to move through the world in a more confident manner, to be less easily shaken, less easily thrown off your course. So what if somebody's in a bad mood? You know who you are, you know where you're going, and you're not as likely to internalize outside forces if you've spent those 15 to 30 minutes acquainting yourself with who you are. And if you want to wake up early enough to take an hour to do this, feel free to do so. Whatever you need to do to get grounded, to just like remind yourself of who you are before you start moving through the world. That's absolutely important, because there's so many different forces in this world that are trying to pull you in many different directions, and it's just not a good thing. It's so easy to be swayed and tossed about with the waves and blown by the wind and all this stuff, when if you know who you are, you're much less likely to listen to other people when they try to impose their contrived identity that they want you to have upon you. You just reject it and you're like, that's not me. I don't fit into that box. Go somewhere with that. Or you smile and nod and then like go your way, because it's like, they're not talking to you, they don't know you. And they can't tell you who to be. I mean all this in a positive way. Don't be like a jerk and go out and break laws because you think that's who you are. Like, don't hurt people, or like, drive drunk and or not, whatever. Like, follow the rules. Please don't get arrested and say that you heard from me that you needed to go out and be the person you felt like being that morning, and that was the person who wanted to rob a bank. Or like, just take all this in a very positive light, a positive law-abiding light, unless you know what I mean. Anyway, a little civil disobedience never hurt anybody for a good cause either, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So, I'm just all over the place. All right. So, so that's, take your time to get grounded in who you are and to remind yourself that you are, whomever you are. And if you feel like you don't know who you are yet, take those 15 to 30 minutes to figure out who that is. Which should bring me into my next point. So take that time to, if you don't know who you are, take that time to figure those things out. Figure out your likes, figure out what you want. Just like keep asking yourself what you want and what you enjoy and what you like and what you think you can do with those things. I always say the best way to figure out what you're good at and where your skills are is to start with what you enjoy doing. Now those things don't always align, but like, I think if you're passionate about something, you can find a way to apply it in a manner that's positive, and oftentimes in a manner that makes you some money. So that's your time to get grounded. And if you're not grounded, to make your way to being grounded and confident. Like oh my gosh, like if you're a person who struggles with anxiety and confidence and you're like afraid to go out in the world and be yourself, you absolutely need to be taking this time, and don't make it negative. Like, just like, find, even if it's something tiny that you can grasp on, a positive thing that you can grasp onto, and build from there, and building your self-esteem and figuring out your place in the world. You got to start as small as you have to, but you absolutely need to be spending this time with yourself, forcing yourself to think positive and to look for the good in yourself, and you know, just, like really examine who you are until you come to those things, because everybody has them. Sometimes that stuff can be buried, if you've gotten far from your true self over the years, this stuff can be buried. And that's all the more reason to take this time and to get back to your true essence. Now, when you're taking this time, there's some things to remember. Um, like I just said, don't be negative with it. Resist the urge to be negative. If you start to go in a negative direction, just steer yourself back in a positive direction. A lot of times people don't realize that changing their thinking is very intentional, and you're not going to think in a more positive direction automatically, but you're going to have to correct yourself. You might have to verbally tell yourself to stop and remind yourself of something positive to think about. You might have to write down a list of positive things and to keep going back to that list if you find yourself getting off track. Whatever it is, just be very intentional, and eventually your mind will start to fall into place, and your self-image and self-esteem will improve the more you force your thinking in that way. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of small and large things in the world that force your thinking to a negative place. It just all happens in such a way that you don't realize it's going on until, bam, you have these negative thoughts that you can't depart from, or that you feel like you can't depart from. And it's because like all that stuff has been layered on over time, and it's hard to just change it overnight. Okay, so reasons why you should take this time to remind yourself and to ground yourself in yourself and in positive spirituality and in who you are as a person, and in becoming the person you want to be. Just taking this little bit of time every day will help you to make better decisions. If you're prone to popping off and you've reminded yourself and you've had a good sit down with yourself first thing in the morning, that's going to come to mind, when you feel triggered, when you feel tempted. So, definitely like have these conversations with yourself. It's kind of like a child, okay, we're going to be going to this place and we can't be running around, and, we want to do this and we want to do that. So we have to stay focused. You have your inner child. You have to still parent your inner child. As funny as that might sound. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. But yeah, so you'll make better decisions if you remind yourself of who you are and where you're going and where you're trying to go and what you have to do to get there. You may experience less anxiety as a result of feeling more secure and more sure within yourself. Because in essence, it's almost like a pep talk. It's almost like comforting yourself. Actually, I'm going to circle back to that point about your inner child right now. So humans don't suddenly stop needing comfort once they grow out of infancy or once they become adults. It's just that ideally, we should learn how to do that for ourselves, how to be self-comforting. Probably most of us don't, and that's where the problem comes in. But the good news is you can learn to comfort yourself, and you can learn to parent yourself, and you can learn to nurture yourself, and you absolutely 100% should learn these things. And I can help you learn these things as an adult. And I guarantee you'll have more peace. Your anxiety levels will decrease. You'll just get through the day much more smoothly. When you have the same way you have those external triggers, you'll have those internal comfort mechanisms, let's call it, that not defense mechanisms, but like this, you'll know how to comfort yourself once if you experience something that triggers you, or that is abrasive, or that takes you to a negative place. You can do that. You can do that in your mind and learn to kind of like talk yourself down and encourage yourself in those ways without even having to do it out loud eventually. Because you can trigger those positive thoughts to come into play almost automatically, or it becomes automatic over time, I think. So the next point, so even if Yeah, I already covered that. Even if you don't know what you want, or if you don't have all the answers to this stuff and it sounds good, but you're like, I'm nowhere near that, just sit there, just carve out that time and sit there. And I guarantee, just like try. And if you have to write your stuff out in advance, write negative, not negative, wow, oh, I don't know, like, yeah, I misspoke, right? Positive things to think about, and to speak over yourself and over your life and over your existence. And just, even if you got to go online and Google some positive affirmations that sound good to you, do that and just speak them over yourself and over your life. Get some Bible verses if you're a biblical person, or if you want to be a biblical person, just like get that stuff, get it in you. And the way you get it in you is by speaking it over yourself and repeating it in your mind and consuming it. Like, you have to actively consume positivity to have it within you. And yeah, so another benefit of this exercise, in addition to feeling more grounded, and I think this kind of happens before, like if you're far from that point, you'll realize somewhere along the way, you'll become more comfortable having very honest conversations with yourself. And there are a lot of us who cannot be honest with ourselves, like 100% honest, because it sounds scary. But really, self-honesty helps you grow and progress much more easily and much faster, because you don't have these mental blocks that are set up that you think protect you and your ego, but really they set you back, or they make you difficult to deal with, or they make you reluctant to learn. You don't have those things as much. You might still have them. Everybody still, still a struggle for everyone probably, but sometimes, not all the time. But you'll become like that, where you don't have this constant struggle with your ego, or this constant struggle with feeling insulted. If, you realize you're not good at something, or you realize you made a mistake, or someone says something to you to be helpful, but you take it the wrong way. You take it as an insult when it wasn't meant or said in that way. Having these conversations with yourself will make you much more comfortable being honest with yourself. And also, it'll make you feel more secure when thinking through uncertain situations and scary situations, because you can be honest with yourself, but you're also able to comfort yourself. And I don't know, like with that self-trust, comes the ability to be able to say, oh, well, this is a bad situation, or we really messed up there, but I also know that you're capable. Some of us struggle with hearing things like you can do it, because we don't really believe we can do it. But in engaging in this process where you're evaluating your strengths and your weaknesses, and you're able to be honest with yourself, and you can respond with the strength, you can respond to yourself internally with the strength, in adversity, it becomes much easier to deal with uncertainty, with stressful situations. You don't have to melt down. You can have this honest dialogue where you can logically think through the situation, versus panicking. And that's a skill we all need. So that is this video on our first energizing practice, which is taking 15-30 minutes in the morning to ground ourselves and to remind ourselves of who we are and who we want to be and who we are currently striving to become. So I will come back with more of these. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any questions, obviously you can contact me on Instagram at RL Professional Organizer. You can send me an email, rolanda@helpmelonda.com. You can visit me on Facebook. My Facebook profile is helpmelonda.com. I also have a group that you can get to through my Facebook page. And yeah, that's it. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video, guys. See you then.